Hey, it's Holly Fulger from True Beauty Discovery with our speaking series. And today I get to talk to Liz Ferro. Hey, Liz.
Hi.
Liz Ferro is an author, a mom, a wife, a speaker, and she also created the nonprofit called Girls with Soul that True Beauty Discovery is going to be working with this summer. And I looked her up because I had heard about her organization, and I was so moved and impressed and really just wanted to talk to her. So please meet Liz Ferro, founder of Girls with Soul, author and human extraordinaire.
You're so sweet. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. Thanks so much. So we can just kind of jump right in because you've done a lot of stuff. And I think you lead from, it seems to me, in terms of your organization and what you do, you lead from your heart, but you also lead from the standpoint of fitness, which is really, really, I love that. And I love what you do with your organization. Why don't you tell us a little bit about Girls with Soul to start?
Sure. Well, yeah, it is kind of led by fitness because there's definitely a mind-body correlation that sometimes is forgotten, especially in scenarios with kids who experience trauma of any kind. There's a lot of talk therapy, I guess, without the physical portion of it. So Girls with Soul provides fitness and wellness programs and self-esteem building activities so that you can teach girls how to put those two things together and then change just the trajectory of their lives through the strength that comes from physical fitness goes into their emotional strength. So Girls with Soul basically kind of plants those seeds and helps them learn how to achieve that. A lot of them don't understand that that's even a way to cope with different issues that they might have. So Girls with Soul is all about coming in and kind of teaching it to them.
How do you do that? How do you teach them?
The programs are based on collaborations. So I have program partnerships, and whether that would be a school or a social service agency or maybe a residential treatment center, sometimes juvenile detention centers. And basically, the kids are already identified within those entities, and then I can come in and bring the programs directly to them where they are. So they don't have to come to a specific building or whatever. We just line everything up with the program partner. And then I bring the programs in and conduct them usually an hour or an hour and a half in person. And then I go. It's like Meals on Wheels, but fitness and wellness on wheels.
So the program then itself is an hour and a half with you and doing physical activities or teaching them.
Yeah, once a week. We break it down. I mean, it's pretty adaptable and I have a curriculum, but a lot of things are dependent, like how many kids are there, what type of space is offered. You know, sometimes it's a large gym area where we could do just about anything. And then other times it's, a conference room or something like that. So, yeah, it's an hour and a half, but we come in and we do we start with the creed, which is just basically gets everyone on the same page. It's reciting, almost like the Girl Scout creed or whatever. Whoever else has a creed, I'm sure a lot of people do. And then we do the physical portion, and that could be anything from yoga to fitness stations. We play a lot of running games, things to make them just sort of move without realizing that they're working out is kind of the goal. It's like pureeing a vegetable and putting it in a milkshake, sort of. And then the last 25 minutes to 30 minutes is spent more on like an actual activity with peer building in mind or goal setting, things like that, self-awareness. And that's more of a project or a guided discussion.
So you also do marathons. I mean, it seems like that was one of your commitments to when you started Girls with Soul. Was that one of the things that you wanted to run a marathon in every state?
Not when I started it. I hadn't even thought of that really. I had done some Ironman triathlons at that point, and a handful of marathons and stuff. When I started it, I decided I was going to do a couple Ironmans and raise money and see what would happen. They went well. I did one in Switzerland that did really well as a fundraiser. And then over the years, we were doing races where I would put the race on. It was a 5K called Lula, and Lula stands for Lacing Up for a Lifetime of Achievement. And it was an awesome race. We did really well with it in terms of, the people loved it, the kids loved it, but it ended up being more of a marketing piece than anything else. It was important though, because the girls got to take part in it, and that was really cool to see the people supporting Girls with Soul and the actual girls side by side, and just like feeding off each other's positive energy was like awesome. But races are not good money makers unless everything is, covered. All overhead has to be covered. And it doesn't work like that anymore. People don't have the money like they used to. You just get a sponsorship like nothing. Now it's a little harder. So I was like, okay, what would be an easier way for me to raise money, but not have not have to put the race on by myself? So that's where I decided I was going to do a marathon in all 50 states. And I called it 50 States for Soul. And it became this campaign that, I don't know, I ended up on the Today Show, and people from different races would invite me to come and speak before the race or whatever. It was really pretty cool. It did really well and took off. So now I'm doing the continents.
I love that. Okay, wait. So the 50 States for Soul, was that through a year? Like, how long did that take you?
Well, okay, so Girls with Soul doesn't fund any of the travel or any of the races, and that can be an expensive endeavor. So my husband, who's all about supporting Girls with Soul, is also all about the bottom line of everything, and especially because it was our bottom line, not Girls with Souls. He's like, all right, well, how long is this going to take? And I was like, oh, I'll do it in 5 years. It'll be fine. He was like, okay, financially, we can do that. Well, I got all crazy per usual, because that's my MO. And I did it in 2.5 years. So I was running marathons like back to back weekends, sometimes back to back days, traveled as much as I could with the car. And then when I couldn't with the car, then I was flying. So yeah, we did it all in 2.5 years.
Okay, so the continent thing, has that started? When did that start? And where are you going
It
next?
started, it started, I guess, when I did Ironman in Switzerland. I thought that would count for the marathon, but apparently there's rules. I know there's like weird people in the world besides me that like to do these things like all over the place. So there's an 50 states club, people who run marathons in all 50 states. And according to the club rules, I guess I just wanted to make it as official as possible. I mean, who really cares, right? But still, I was like, I'm going to make it official as possible. So I joined the club. You have to provide all kinds of information to prove that you did these things, whatever. According to their rules, Ironman counts, because an Ironman is 2.4 mile swim, 112-mile bike, and then you run a marathon. So it's way more than just a marathon. So they count it as a marathon. But in the Continents Club, they don't count Ironman. So my husband, he was like, oh my God, you are so full of crap. You just want to go back to Europe. I'm like, no, I swear to God. Oh, of course they do. But I swear to God, they don't count. They don't count. So, so it started after I finished all 50 states, and then I went to do the Great Wall of China marathon. And then that's when the ball started rolling from there. So I've got South Africa. I did one on a wildlife preserve in South Africa. I did Great Wall of China. I just did Antarctica last year.
You did? What was that like?
Oh my God, amazing. It was nuts. Like I had no idea what Antarctica was going to be like, but lots of penguin poop everywhere. That's what it's like. They're adorable though.
Okay,
They're so cute.
I
You're not
love
allowed to touch
this.
them though. You go to jail if you touch them.
Really?
Everything's like so pristine there because there's no people to ruin it. So they want to keep it that way. And it's just the most amazing, like otherworldly place. In my mind, you picture just like the typical icebergs and water and, whatever. But they're on all the different spots in Antarctica is like very, very different sort of topography, and even just like the plants. There's like plants there and stuff. It's weird, but it's so clean and so beautiful. And they make you, every time you stepped off the boat into the Zodiac, you had to clean your shoes with this special solution. And then you had to clean them again when you got back onto the boat. It's just like a whole big deal. Like they only had a certain amount of people who are allowed to step onto Antarctica at a time. So we had to do the race in two groups. So we had a morning marathon and an afternoon marathon so that we wouldn't have too many people on the continent at once. It's just bizarre.
Wow.
I had no
Wow.
idea. And it's hilly there. Like there's parts of it that look like the Andes Mountains. I thought it was going to just be a big flat sheet of ice. What did I know? I don't know anything. I just show up and whatever it is, it is. People are like, you didn't research it. I'm like, I don't know. Whatever it is, it is.
What inspired you to do this? What was your, what made you start this? What made you get into fitness? What made that your kind of?
So many reasons. Probably, I mean, I've always been a really decent athlete, I would say. Like in just about anything. Like I suck at sports with balls and stuff like that, but I have enough skill that I can get away with just about anything. And when I was a kid, I had a lot of energy and it sometimes would go in the wrong places. So I think my dad was sort of trying to burn me out to a degree, tire me out, and that was his way of doing it. He had me in just about every sport under the sun when I was younger. But I was a Catholic Charities baby. I grew up in upstate New York, and I had foster care for the first couple of years of my life. My name was Tammy before my parents adopted me and changed my name and all kinds of stuff. So I had come into my adopted home with some issues because there was abuse in the homes. That's why they kept moving me around. I was in 4 foster homes. So as far as sports, like playing a part in my life, it saved my life. Like literally, if I didn't have just the way that it kind of evened me out, made me feel like, okay, my body's not a horrible thing. It's actually can do some cool stuff and I'm a strong person and just all the stuff that went along with it, the camaraderie that made me feel normal and the strength that like, okay, I can do something that nobody else can do. So therefore I'll be able to get through all these other things I don't feel like I can get through. And those are the things that you learn from athletics and from just challenging your body and just basically understanding what it can do instead of focusing on what it looks like. Because I think that that's a huge problem on top of all the trauma and everything else. Like to have shame or be upset with how you look or whatever it is, that goes out the window when you're competing, or even if you're not competing, if you're just out just exercising, because it just feels so good and you forget about what you look like.
Thank you. I think what you've done and what you're doing, I am in awe of you. And I think that you are an absolute role model to the individuals you work with and to anybody who goes on your website and to me. I think you are quite something.
That's so nice of you. Thank
I
you.
mean that from my heart. And I honestly, when, again, I had heard of you and I just wanted to talk to you and see what drives you. It's just, I just think you're really impressive and really cool. So,
Well, thanks. The kids don't always think so initially, but I usually win them over after a few times.
I'm sure you do. Well, thank you so much for being part of True Beauty Discovery speaking series. And we will follow you and we look forward to working with you in July.
Yeah, me too. Thank you so much.
Okay, Liz. Love you.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye.